based on what we know now. I have tried to get a hold of Donald. He's with his doctors. Apparently he's doing well. I plan on talking to them shortly, I hope, when I get back to the telephone. Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. And so I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have been engaged in making sure that people and we have more detail to come relative to other people maybe injured in the audience. I don't have all that detail. We'll make that available to you. I may be able to come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement if I'm not able to if it's not convenient for you all. But the bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. Everybody must condemn it. Everybody. I'll keep you informed, and if I'm able to speak to Donald, I'll let you know that as well. So far, it appears he's doing well, number one. Number two, that they're thoroughly investigating what happened to anyone else in the audience. We have some reports, but not final reports. And every agency in the federal government, I'm going back to my phone to speak with the federal agencies that are being put together again to give me an updated briefing. Has anything happened? They learned any more in the last couple hours. So thank you very much, and I hope I get to speak to them tonight, and I'll get back to you if I do. Okay?
Mr. President, do you think this was an assassination attempt?
I don't know enough to. I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts. So I want to make sure we have all the facts before I make any more comments. Thank you.
Are you worried for his own safety? With the security failing, Mr. President?
Breaking news from the Stream Center. Here's J.D. Buno.
President Biden saying that he hopes to speak to former President Donald Trump, the man who opposes him in the race.
All right, I'm gonna lower this. Ed is so breaking just a couple of hours ago. I was out to dinner with the missus. Former President Donald J. Trump shot at a rally. Looks like grazed somewhere on the right side of his ear. Whisked off the stage by Secret Service. A frightening situation that happened at a rally in Pennsylvania. Ed, I want to go over to you real quick on this because I know you have more of the details.
Well, I watched it live on television. I have my parents here with me at my Jersey Shore house, and my mom and dad were watching the rally, and I was preparing dinner for them, and I looked up, and my mom said, it looks like the president was shot. And I looked up, and you could see that he can hear the gunshots,
right.
And he put his hand up to his right ear. He was facing to his right on the stage. It was in front of a podium. He was actually talking about some kind of display that they were using in his speech to make a point. And so he had turned to his right in that direction. And then apparently the shots came, and he put his hand up to his ear and then realized what was going on, and he fell to the ground, and the Secret Service agents rushed up to him. Now, when I heard the gunshot go off, and then the subsequent shots, right away, I'm saying it. I thought it was a semi-automatic, small caliber firearm
Right.
that was being used. But then, again, it was apparent that they were shooting because as soon as the president went down, there were multiple shots after that, and I was like, okay. What's going on in the background? What's going on with the crowd? And then later to find out that two people in the crowd were shot and killed, as being reported by the district attorney for the county in Pennsylvania. In addition, the shooter was shot and killed. So when people are reporting, they heard multiple gunshots coming in from multiple directions. Okay, maybe what they're reporting is the original gunshots, and then the Secret Service or some type of law enforcement responding and taking out the sniper.
Right. And again, I'm going to play a little bit of this video because this is back from when WFLA was live. This is the moment that former President Donald Trump was shot at his rally in Pennsylvania. So we're going to take a listen to this. I'm hoping that there's no commentary with this, but I have another video saved that shows it clearly. But let's take a listen to this. I'll go full screen with it.
Attempts. And so I think we're really trying to.
So it looked like he just grabbed at his ear, Ed, real quick there. I'll let the whole thing play, but I want to put it back.
Yeah, put it back a little bit. So they have some kind of demonstrative aid to the right of Mr. Trump, President Trump, and he's using that to make a point in his speech when the shots ring out.
Okay. So we just heard a short. All right, here it is.
The victim of assassination attempts, and so I think we're really trying to unravel what was behind this. What was the genesis of this? Who was the perpetrator? Who was the horrible victim of the violence? We know one is dead and one is hurt. We pray for those families and the community that they're from. And of course, we hope that this will be a shock to the system for all of America to end political violence, because if we keep going down this route, this will just be one of many.
Okay, we don't need to hear her. Okay.
Hold on a second, Ed. Yeah, I was hoping that we had one without the commentary. So you could actually see, the powder coming off of right here, right there in the background.
Yeah, it wasn't powder, it was blood.
Yeah, and this guy here with this hat right here where my cursor is was scanning the crowd. Like, look, he got down, but then he got back up and was scanning the crowd to see. Just watch this guy right here. He's looking. Look.
Yeah, he's trying to figure out where it came from, but there was others in the crowd that reported to the law enforcement that they saw a man dressed in black climbing up to the roof of a building nearby. And like they were pointing at the man ascending to the roof with a rifle, because they clearly saw the rifle.
You can see people here looking to the left.
Yeah.
Cameras.
Well, right. Remember, Mr. Trump was turned to the left, but it was his right ear that got hit. Actually, if he's facing the crowd, then his right side, his right profile is exposed to that side. Anyhow,
him out now.
I just want to say something here. The vitriol has to stop.
Yeah.
Okay. It just has to stop. Whether it's this in politics or whether it's the vitriol that we've all witnessed in the Karen Reed case. You know, we have become a divided nations, and we're in tribes now. It's tribalism. Tribalism is what it's come down to. Okay, and no longer can we have an adult discussion where people have different points of view and respect each other anymore for those different points of view. It's no longer, respectfully disagree. Now it's, if you don't agree with me, I'm going to kill you.
Right.
Okay. If you don't believe what I believe, I'm going to kill you.
A very dangerous situation to be in. Like you said, the vitriol has to stop. We heard President Biden come to the podium, and kudos to him for coming to the podium and saying this has to stop. We all have to understand these are human lives. These are people who are running for political office. Nobody deserves to have their life taken from them or an attempt at their lives taken from them. And I want everyone in the audience to know that I reached out to our good friend, Charlie, who is a retired United States Secret Service agent. He's going to be joining us in about 10 minutes. He was part of Hillary Clinton's and Bill Clinton's security team up in Chappaqua. And Charlie has a ton of experience as it pertains to protection of our past presidents. And he's going to come on and give us a little bit of his experience. He has joined us on many previous live streams. For those of you who've been around here a long time, and look, you see Trump, this is probably something they didn't want him to do there, because you do not have a stable situation at this point, right? These guys wanted to get him off the stage. And these are the things I want to ask Charlie when he joins us. I mean, I envision, and I know just a little bit because I got the Secret Service dignitary protection at the NYPD. So when we had our United Nations General Assembly every year, I remember my training, and it was to get your protectee out of there fast.
Mhm.
He was holding his arm up to show his strength to the crowd, and I'm sure Charlie's got a whole bunch to say about it. And he's here in the green room waiting to come in. As soon as he gives me the thumbs up, I'll add him in. But I know that he's going to have a lot to say because he spent a good deal of his adult life in the United States Secret Service as a special agent in charge. So, Ed, I wanted to just go to you on some of your thoughts of what I was just saying about the whisking former President Donald Trump off of that stage.
Yeah, if you have any type of dignitary protection training, you know that you have to protect your asset, and the asset is in this case Donald Trump. And so in that, the detail that will move in immediately on the asset and remove the asset from the hostility. In this case, the sniper. But apparently, the sniper was taken out relatively quickly after the law enforcement acquired his location and saw him shooting and took that sniper out. But again, I just want to get back to what I was saying. We have to stop the division. We have to become more civil, stop the rhetoric, stop the vitriol, and understand, we don't all have to agree with each other's positions, but we have to respect each other.
Right.
Okay. And now we don't have respect anymore. Now we don't have conflict resolution. Conflict resolution, we go right to violence, okay, as a means of conflict resolution. And that has to stop. I don't care what your political agenda is, what your political party is, what your religion is, what your race, ethnicity. I don't care about any of those things. Okay. All I care about is civility and right and wrong.
And you know what? I think anybody that is on the side of good, being a good human being, has to agree with that. We have to separate our hatred. And I want to just point this out as we watch former President Donald Trump being whisked off the stage by very brave United States Secret Service agents, putting their lives, putting their hands up and trying to block him. I was out to dinner with Mrs. DutyRon, and there was many people talking about this. There was many couples speaking around us about this. And some of the conversations that I heard were disheartening, to say the least. And I'm being nice. And I told her, I said, we got to get out of here. I got to get out of here because I want to get home and see this. I want to hear it and see it. I was getting intel from some of my friends from law enforcement, former law enforcement. And I wanted to find out some of the details. So without further ado, I want to bring in Charlie, retired United States Secret Service agent, a friend of mine for, God, I'd have to say over 3 decades. Charlie, thank you for joining on this troubling evening, to say the least.
Yeah, good evening, gentlemen.
Welcome, Charlie.
Hey,
Charlie,
Ed, how you been?
Charlie,
Okay.
if you could, Charlie, let the audience know your Secret Service background, how much time you served, and so forth.
It was, with my total government time, was close to 3 decades, 28 years. What the most important thing to realize about tonight is this is an event that was ginned up, in my own personal opinion, by the vitriol in the media. When you demonize an individual, when you compare them to Hitler, who is a mass murderer of an epic proportion, when you compare him to someone that is a dictator, you are really stepping over a line that is beyond civility. Mm-hmm. Secret Service does their job regardless of who the president is. It's an apolitical organization. It must be. It can never take a side. The job is there. The mission is there. The men and women who do their job every day deserve great credit for the sacrifices that they make on a regular basis to ensure the safety of the democratic process within the United States. I know we are a constitutional republic, so I speak as a democratic process as an overall catch-all term. What I'm trying to explain to you tonight is what you saw tonight was some of the best of what the U.S. Secret Service has to offer. You've got to realize this is not a presidential detail. This is a former detail. He is given extra support because he is a candidate that is running for president, that is probably going to be, as of next week, the lead candidate to represent the Republicans. But it is not a PPD, Presidential Protective Division detail. And what you saw today was an example of heroism. Thank the Lord that he was able to go out under his own power and that no one else was gravely injured other than the one individual who is, we understand right now, is pronounced dead at the scene. So this could have been a lot worse. What else I'm hearing is that there were 2 separate snipers for this event. Now we've got to wait and see. This fog of war, right? Give it 72 hours. We need, that's about a reasonable amount of time to wait. So we want to wait, right? We're going to listen. We're going to evaluate. We're going to analyze. But the big thing is the facts will come out. And to jump to conclusions right now is too early. What you've got there is a very large crime scene, okay? And what you've got to do is you've got to realize one thing. First of all, the interim federal presence on the ground right now are all of the Secret Service agents who did not leave the scene with former President Trump. They are there to hold a crime scene. They are there to gather evidence. They are there to interview witnesses. They are to make sure that nobody leaves who may be the one person who puts this together. Additionally, what has to happen next is once they hold the scene, they have to have the FBI show up. The FBI will show up at some point. They have to gather their people and they have to show up. Then there has to be a secondary discussion beyond this between the director of the Secret Service and the director of the FBI. And when that discussion takes place, they will be discussing how and when the crime scene will be turned over to the FBI for a full federal investigation. This needs to happen. It has to be done once and it has to be done right. There is no skimping. There is no cutting corners because this is a matter of national security.
Charlie, I wanted to ask you. I don't want to interrupt you because you're telling it as it is, and this is great information. Charlie is a retired Secret Service special agent. He served over 2.5 decades, almost 3 decades, 28 years in the United States Secret Service, and he's been on many high-profile assignments and. He's given it to us as he sees it. But Charlie, I wanted to ask you because our audience is swelling to close to 2,000 live chatters. Who will be, you kind of brushed on it here, but who will be doing this crime scene? Will it be as you said, the Secret Service and the FBI? Will there be any local authorities where this event took place involved in crime scene and evidence preservation, or will this be done all by the federal government, Charlie?
Well, there's going to be, now it all depends on where the shooter was. It doesn't sound like he was inside the event or they were inside the event. My understanding from what I'm gathering from sources is that he was taken out by the counter sniper team of the U.S. Secret Service. So you've got a lot of things in play here. They're going to secure the crime scene. They are going to process the crime scene. Now, whether it's a county sheriff's office or a local PD that processes the crime scene, eventually that evidence will be turned over to the FBI. They are trained to take care of a crime scene, right? If the basics of a crime scene is, if you don't know how to process a crime scene, stay the hell out of it and secure it. That's it.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Touch nothing. Touch nothing. Let no one in and let nothing out. Do not touch it. You know, that
100%.
mistake. That mistake was learned in the John Benet Ramsey case, right? You had a department. I'm not trying to criticize them. They were not capable of holding the crime scene. They let people come and go, and they tried to process it. And by the time they called in the right people to process it, contamination of evidence.
Right.
This is extremely important. Do not contaminate the crime scene. Hold it. Nobody comes in, nobody comes out. Sorry, it's life. That's the way it is. Hard as nails fact. It has to be that way. There is no way around it.
Absolutely, 100%. And what happened in many of these cases is a lack of experience on the part of the investigators and that jurisdiction that we were just speaking about. You know, they don't have that many homicides. They don't have that many crime scenes. So therefore, they're not practiced in it. But when it comes to crime scene in this, I know the Secret Service has crime scene because I trained them. And I know the FBI has the evidence response team. And I trained with them and them as well. But you know, again, the state and locals, so they're going to have this powwow. They'll all get together to see who has the best assets, the best capabilities, and so forth. And a decision will be made. Because we've done this numerous times in New York City with high-profile federal cases where the FBI's evidence response team and the NYPD crime scene unit would get together and say, okay, who's doing what, who's going to take the lead, blah, 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 and they'll work it all out. But important thing here right now, if what I thought was breaking news from Charlie about 2 shooters, if that is the case and they're both down, or I know at least one is down. I don't know about the second one, but one of the main things that we got to do now right away is secure that area where he was shot and killed, and gather up all the ballistics evidence, photographs, sketched, the roof, the scene, gather up all his ballistics evidence. Like I said earlier, it sounded like he was using some kind of semi-automatic firearm. Gather up the cartridge cases. Okay, and then the firearm, and then we got to do ID on this guy. Who is this guy? So fingerprints, DNA, facial recognition software. You know, take some photos, get it into the system, and try to figure out who this guy if he doesn't have any ID on him. Then you have 2 victims in the crowd. We got to understand exactly where they were when they got hit. All right, because I'm going to want to reconstruct the shooting. I want to do some ballistic trajectories. I want to know. I'm going to need all their pedigree information. I'm going to need their heights, weights, gender. What kind of clothing were they wearing? And where were they actually standing or sitting when they sustained their ballistic wounds? And I know one of the individuals was pronounced on scene and removed, and the other went to hospital. And I believe now the county prosecutor is stating that 2 of these civilians are dead now. So again, and then I definitely want to go up on the perch where the counter sniper team was, and that actually took out this guy. And you want to, get the trajectories from their engagement with the sniper and do your shooting reconstruction from there as well. This whole thing needs to be 3D laser scanned. There's no excuse here for not doing this. You're going to lock it down, as Charlie said. You got to check everybody to make sure that they're not leaving with any evidence on them.
Right. And that's difficult to do with they said the crowd was in excess of 15,000 people. If in fact that is true, you're talking about an enormous crime scene. And between Charlie and Ed has spent, a great deal of 2+ decades in the NYPD and has processed over 2,500 crime scenes as a first-grade detective in the crime scene unit and a forensic expert. Worked in the medical examiner's office in the DNA lab after he retired. Ed Wallace and Charlie have quite a bit of experience as it pertains to this type of investigation. But what is most concerning here is, Charlie, you put it really well, is the extreme vitriol that is being created by the mainstream media on vilifying candidates. And, even this, look, nobody's exempt from this. Joe Biden, our current president, also is out there and is a high asset and a high risk danger. Charlie, do you want to comment on that?
The sad thing is, I don't know if we can step back from this level. Both sides are guilty, the left and the right. I just don't understand where the civility has vaporized. We have lost touch in what it is to be civilized. People today, I mean, just something as simple as going to a grocery store, picking up the basic necessities and going back to your vehicle and coming home. They're worrisome events now. Who will I encounter? What will it be like when I go out to the parking lot? Do I have the wrong bumper sticker on my car? Am I wearing the wrong shirt supporting someone? The level of civility in this country has plummeted. A lot of it I saw starting just as we entered the so-called COVID era. We have lost touch with what it means to be a decent human being. Years ago, you used to see somebody stopped on the side of the road and had a flat, or their hood was up on their car, and you wouldn't think twice about stopping and saying, "Hey, can I help you? Is there something I can do? Do you need help getting the lugs off your wheel? And I'll jack you up and help you out." Today, it's drive on by and screw you, better you than me.
Yeah.
The civility in this country is gone. It really is gone. And it's plummeting. What little is left is plummeting. And the average American is pretty distraught over the situation. There are extremes on both sides, but I think those that are reasonable in the middle and can, see both sides of a coin, say, how did we get here? How did this happen? And why are we all subjected to it?
And what could we possibly do to right the ship? Like you said, you think that the ship has sailed. But I never lose faith in humanity, and I'm hoping that this might be a wake-up call to some of the folks. And I don't know whether that's true or not, but I want to be on the side of good, and good people.
Well, we all do.
This.
I mean, all three of us do. I mean, we've served our countries in more ways than one. We don't want this. I don't advocate any violence for any reason.
Never.
I mean, I'd rather walk away from a problem and say, "Hey, you got the better of me." Okay, fine. You think that?
Yeah.
I'm good. It doesn't have to resort to violence. But I mean, if it does come to violence, obviously you have to defend yourself.
Right.
But the point being, most people now are just not that way. They want to strike first and reason later.
Let's take a listen to this. This is from an hour ago.
To the other side of the stage. That was after the former president was carted off. He yelled, Shannon, as you might have heard during those remarks, after he said, "Let me grab my shoes." He had fallen to the ground. They were trying to do everything they could to make sure that he was okay. He walked off the stage, and before he left, he pumped his fist into that crowd, and everybody started cheering, "Make America Great Again." But to come to these events, right, when you see the Secret Service, there's possibly this risk for the former president to come in when there's these big crowds. But they really did everything they could, it looked like, to check everyone. We went through several metal detectors. They check your backpack. They wand people down. And it takes a long time for those people to get in because they're so thorough. So at this point, not sure if this person who fired either a weapon, or it almost sounded like, it was just some type of little pops, like explosives. And then to see.
Gentlemen, I want to just, without putting us back on the screen, we'll leave this on. This is a look at the enormity of this crime scene. And if we talk about somebody who was, from a long distance away from, again, Charlie, you said it great. Ed, I saw you shaking your head and agreeing with Charlie, 72 hours. I think within 24 to 48 hours, they'll have a good grasp of what's going on here. But 72 hours is a fair enough time for all these agencies to get together and look at what happened here. How many shots were fired? Who fired the shots? Which one were fatal? How did our innocent bystanders get struck? Were they struck by the person who was trying to kill former President Donald Trump? Was it by the sniping team? Was it other people who engaged? But this is a scene that you look in the background of this reporter, and there's people exiting. people in the chat are asking Ed and Charlie, and I'll go to Ed first and then to Charlie. Should all of these people have been kept and questioned, or at least questioned to, did you see anything? Did you hear anything? Or should they just have been able to leave? And I'll go to you, Ed, first.
Well, I would like the people that were around the victims, seated or standing near and about the victims, I would like them identified. And listen, there's just no way you're going to contain a crowd like that. If they want out, they're getting out. Okay, there's just not enough police officers at that detail to keep them penned in.
Right,
and that's just the way it is.
But what we didn't see is that a mass exodus. When those shots rang out, people were hanging out there.
Right, and they were there for quite some time, and I think they were told to leave. To be honest with you, but the thing is, I'd like those people to be identified because they may have blood spatter on their clothing. They may have other evidence on them that could help reconstruct what happened here. But also, we got to understand, you got to get the information on these shooters out immediately to the intel community. We've got to start researching who these people are, who their associates are. Do they have a background? Do they have a criminal history? Have they made threats against Donald Trump in the past? Is this a big act of a solo, or in this case, at least two people, or is there a bigger conspiracy here?
Right.
Okay.
Were there threats online? Were there threats on social media?
Right. You got to get into that as fast as possible. The first 48 hours. You got to get it. The first 48 hours.
Charlie, over to you.
Well, I think with what Ed is saying, the combing through of social media, previous threats, the Secret Service operates what's called the PIOC, Protective Intelligence Operations Center, 24/7, based in D.C., interacts with a tremendous amount of other intelligence agencies, databases, and what they'll do is they'll start putting together a so-called portrait, and they're going to know pretty soon a lot about this individual or individuals. They will be able to build a profile. They will be able to identify associates. They will be able to identify ideologies that this person had.
Right.
The biggest thing that they have to make sure is that they're looking, if any, co-conspirators, right? We want them. Can this be the so-called lone wolf? Yes. But with two active shooters in the same location at the same time with the same so-called mission, I would have to say that there is a level of organization there. And additionally, if you look at the original video, President Trump's at the podium. That's just a regular podium. It's not an armored podium. Secondly, he is pointing off to his right, our screen left, at something on like, I guess, a Jumbotron, talking about Border Patrol statistics. And he's talking about how the border was when he left office compared to today. And it's almost as if he brushes his right ear as if you were getting annoyed by a bug or a bee sting.
Yeah.
And then it's when that happens that you see him then realize something really is
something
wrong.
that said, take a look at what happened.
You hear multiple pops. And that's when the other agents that are on the stage begin to move forward to him to cover him. And they're not going to get off him until A, it gets worse, or B, they get a clearance to move. And you'll see also that while they're covering him and holding him down, that they are also talking. And you hear at one point in the audio that the shooter is down. And then they're asking to move. And then when they do move, you see the counter assault team, which is the Secret Service agents in the black BDUs and tactical gear, come up, and they're on the stage, and they are doing so-called perimeter security, not a full perimeter. They're covering the front of the stage.
Those were Secret Service officers with the long arms, the long guns, Charlie.
The guys in the black gear are the CAT team. right? Counter assault team, right? So they came out of an armored Suburban off the stage.
Right. It
And
was
what
just a
they're
short
doing is
distance off the stage. We saw when
they're right
President
there.
Yeah, when President
But
Trump was.
if you look at this, I would have to take in just seeing this video in real time, not slowed down and not raw cuts. It looks as if the shots, you see right there, he grabs his ear. It looks as if the shots would come from our left as you're viewing the screen to the right. And anyone who might have been hit as an unintended target, meaning Trump was the intended target, would be off to screen right as you look at the screen right, meaning somewhere in the stands off to that side of the stage. Because I think that those shots that were fired came, I don't know what's on the outside of this event to the left as you look at the TV screen. I think the shots came from outside the event with some kind of a rifle.
Right. Yeah, the witnesses said they saw a man climbing up onto the roof of a building outside of the event, and they were pointing at him, trying to get law enforcement's attention to this person because they can clearly see the rifle as he was climbing onto the roof. Yeah, so apparently from this, it appears the trajectory might be from here left to right as we see the image.
Right. Yeah. So I mean that's just a basic preliminary estimate of what it is. I mean,
Charlie, these guys that came running on the stage, that's part of his detail, right?
Correct. That's what they call the working shift.
All right, let's take a look.
That's the working shift. The guys in the suits, no ties, running up on the stage there. Now, what you'll see is later on, once they've got him underneath their bodies, right? They're not letting him up.
He's down on the ground.
They're pressing him down to the floor of that stage, and they're not going to let him up. They're using their bodies as a shield.
What I'm saying here, gentlemen, what I'm saying here to Ed Wallace, Charlie, and the chat is when you typically see someone where shots ring out at a large event, let's say a concert or a large gathering at a street fair, you usually see people scatter like bugs, just boom, everybody's out. But what I found interesting about watching this is that these folks all stayed. And I don't know if they were scared and just stayed put, but I didn't see chairs trampled when we looked at, and the reason I kept going back to the floor seats, I didn't see chairs stumbled over, and I saw a lot of people down on the floor. Did anybody in the chat find that interesting, that these folks holding these Trump signs and these supporters at this rally did not run out of there for their lives? Look, you got women sitting down, people just sitting around. Gentlemen, am I off base on this, or is this...
No, usually people would run, but you know what the other thing is? There's nowhere to go.
These chairs are all in order.
There's nowhere to go, and maybe this is a very different crowd, but maybe they realized to stampede to get out of there, probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at
everyone reacts differently under stress. Yeah. Everyone, right? It's the old flight or fight. And I think a lot of people, if you look at the faces, especially the gentleman with the boonie hat, the dark boonie hat and the dark he looks just kind of stunned, like he's almost detached from the entire situation.
When they pull out, you don't see anybody running away. People are just like,
no.
The boonie hat was looking around like, hey, where is this fucker? I mean,
the question is here: how many of the people that are directly behind him? And you look at, there was one guy off to the right-hand side as you look at the podium with a Vietnam veteran ball cap on. I guarantee you, Vietnam veteran, he's probably seen and heard gunfire, been involved in it.
Yeah. This guy right here didn't even move.
No, there's a guy, if you look a little bit to the right, Veron, there's a guy with a Vietnam veteran ball cap on.
Yeah, black ball cap, gray shirt. Yeah, it's to the right. Right there.
And he basically, he just does a little duck. He's just chilling.
Yeah.
This is probably the most composed I've ever seen a group of people be in an active shooter situation. I've never seen that before.
You know
Never.
too, there's something else I noticed in this footage here is that the Secret Service agents are rushing up to the stage to get to POTUS, and at least 2 or 3 media personnel are right on the heels of the Secret Service agents with their camera,
Getting their pictures.
I mean, how dangerous is that? They're lucky those people, because the Secret Service agent, I don't know who you are. We just had shots fired, and you're running up on me like this when I'm trying to get the POTUS. This is crazy.
Well, the thing of it is, okay, so you've got official photographers, you've got cleared press. Inside, people who have made it inside have been screened. Their biggest concern is covering him. Basically, what it works down to is this: cover and evacuate. We are not going to stand there and gun it out with you while the protectee is laying on the ground.
Yeah,
that's not their role. Cover and evacuate in that order. Cover and evacuate.
Yeah, Teresa.
But we can't evacuate until we know it's safe to move. If you listen to the audio of it, they're asking, "Can we move? Is it time to move? Move, move, move."
Right.
But they're not going to move until they're told to move. They're asking, "Can they go?" They're not saying we're going. They're asking. You don't just move. You don't move without a purpose. As bad as it can get, right? They've got him under layers of bodies, and the layers of bodies are wearing body armor.
Right.
Okay? So that's a plus. That's a plus. Not a great situation, right?
Yeah.
Not the best situation. Not the situation you would always hope for.
Yeah.
But they've got him under bodies, and bodies that are wearing body armor, front and back. And you've got several people on top of them. All right. So you're probably going to have several rounds of a high caliber, maybe like a 308.
Yeah.
And hitting the same exact spot time and time and time again.
Yeah.
Teresa sent in a super chat and said the BBC had an interview of witnesses to a man climbing up a building with rifles, told Secret Service, no response from the Secret Service. Play the interview, BBC. There's going to be many people who are witnesses that make statements, but we have to just hold ourselves here. We have to vet all of these eyewitnesses, and if in fact that in fact was the case, there will be some explaining to be done. But at an event this size, the primary focus is going to be on the protectee, right? So if somebody was witnessing somebody doing something way off the set, and there was a high-powered rifle used, we don't even know the caliber of the weapon. Someone's talking about an AR-style rifle, and so forth. The perpetrator is taken down, and the threat was over. He's identified tentatively, according to news reports. But let's listen to what they have to say here in this, and I don't want to have to keep going back to it. Charlie, retired Secret Service agent with 28 years experience, has been on many high-profile protectees. I remember you showing me when I visited you up at 26 Federal Plaza, Charlie, the inside of that Chappaqua, Hillary and Bill Clinton's residence up in Chappaqua. And I thought that was an interesting sight to see, because the way they constructed the inside and the interior of that home, it was so detailed, and it made me very proud and confident of our United States Secret Service, because of the amount of detail that you guys were committed, and how you commit yourselves to putting your lives on the line for the protection of our, not only presidents of the United States, but dignitaries that come in from foreign countries as well. I've been on United Nations General Assembly detail many, many a times, and I've been with the United States Secret Service, the U.S. Department of State, and all of the different various agencies, and they operate with such professionalism and dedication. The time spent away from the families, I tip my cap to the ladies and gentlemen in United States Secret Service, because they give up not only their lives by putting their lives on the line, but they give up their family time as well. Charlie, I know you could talk for hours about this, but let's let this play. And thank you to everyone who's in the chat, being civil and being good human beings and being a good friend to this Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace community that we have here. Thank you to all 3,500 of you who are here and supporting.
President Biden, or excuse me, President Trump had taken to the stage and was speaking. This is what happened.
Yeah, that sounded like 4 or 5 shots, Ed, right?
Yeah, it sounded like a semi-automatic. There's definitely not a bolt action. And that's what it sounded like. And it's initially, I thought it might even be suppressed because I didn't hear very loud reports here. Charlie, maybe you can answer a question for me. What is the Secret Service fly team and what do they do?
I'm not sure about the fly team. You've got the counter snipers.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the cat team. You've got jump teams, which are groups of agents who go from place to place on a campaign. They're leapfrogging each other from place to place to secure the location prior to the arrival of someone we're protecting. Does that sort of answer?
Well, I was reading somewhere, somebody is reporting that a Secret Service fly team is coming out of D.C. to investigate the assassination attempt.
Oh, that's that. Okay, so that's like an OPR, Office of Internal Affairs. They call them inspection.
Oh, inspection. Okay.
So what they'll do is they've gathered up a team of, they're all agents, and they will be coming into Butler to do the investigation. They are going to go from top to bottom, bottom to top, left, right, up, down, whatever it is, give you a high colonic and say, have a nice day. They were going to go through every single step. So meaning from the time the advance team went to Butler,
right,
and started preparing for this event, up into the time when they actually get President Trump out of Butler.
Right.
It's going to be several days covered in this investigation, right? So you figure an advance team. So most likely, a lot of the advance team, they rely, since it's a former detail, they're relying on the Philadelphia field office. Probably some people, maybe some elements from Scranton or Pittsburgh. And every one of these individuals who's involved in the advance, you're under the microscope now.
Right.
Yeah, they're going to go through the step-by-step procedures that were followed in order to clear everybody inside.
It's almost like an internal audit or internal affairs.
It is. They're going to go, okay, so like even the counter snipers that were there, they are going to go through, those guys are there with the advance team. In a way, they're kind of their own advance team. As soon as they come in, the first thing they do is they start taking a look at the lay of the land.
Yeah.
After they get the lay of the land and they do their advance, which means realizing what's in the line of sight, how it's set up, how many yards it's out, what is the coverage? Do buildings block certain parts of the stage? Do buildings, not? Additionally, the next thing they're going to do is go to a local law enforcement range and re-zero their weapons. Okay. So in traveling, they have a jar, right? Just another rifle. It's custom fit for them. They're going to go to the local law enforcement range and they're going to re-zero because they don't want to take any chances that what they've got in the transportation of that weapon from where they are to where the site is has come out of zero, so to speak. So they're going to re-zero their weapons for the day of the event so that when they're ready to go, it's true, it's accurate, and it's on target. So that's what they're
very thorough.
All of these things are coming into play now, right? You're going to have all of this going on. You're going to have after action reports. You're going to have after action interviews. They are going to speak with everybody from the detail, to include the special agent in charge of the detail. They're going to talk to all the post standers. meaning the guys, even if it was just an agent with a uniform guy on a magnetometer, they're getting interviewed. All of them, everybody. Anyone carrying a badge involved in the security of that event is getting interviewed. State, local, county, Secret Service, they're all getting interviewed. Yeah. And this is going to take a while. But the thing of it is, look, we've got to just we got to be very thankful that he's not dead.
Could have been a lot worse. We could have been a lot worse here. Yeah.
A lot worse. Got to be thankful of that first and foremost. Thank God.
Yeah.
Secondly, what we've got to realize is we live in the world of instant answers. I can't remember the comedian's name, but he's an Asian guy who was on Netflix. He's talking about Amazon, and pretty soon we want Amazon now, right? I think about it, Amazon delivers it. Well, that's the kind of world we live in. Everybody wants an answer now. And the reality of it is, in law enforcement, if you give an answer now, the odds are you're wrong.
Going to be wrong. Yeah.
Wrong. So now is the time to have an ice cold glass of shut the F up, sit back, and let's evaluate. Yeah, you can give statements, but don't give them in very narrow terms. Be broad. We know that there was an individual or two individuals. One has been neutralized. One has been taken to a local area hospital for treatment. Right. Interviews will be conducted. Thank you, and we'll tell you more later when we know. Do not come out and make definitive statements. Do not say he was associated with this, he did this, he did that, he did this, and he was supported by so-and-so. No, we don't do this. You have to wait, because the moment you start doing that, you will live to regret it. The press will burn you. They are not your friends.
No.
Remember, anyone in law enforcement can tell you, retired or active, they are not your buddies. They are there for a story. They are there for the sensationalism. And if they toss you by the wayside along the way, so be it.
So be it.
We say the same thing in forensics. Yeah. Never give out presumptive field test results, right? Because you can get a false positive, and then the next thing you know, the lab has got a negative, and the media is running around saying, you tested positive for anthrax, or it tested positive, and meanwhile, it's just a field test.
Shelby Lynn, thank you for the super chat. She says, I assume that they will also review all the footage of the incident, correct? Yes. And maybe ask for footage taken by attendees. Absolutely. They want every single angle of every single video or audio or anything that was taken. Photographs.
There are thousands of cameras there today.
Yeah.
Thousands. Yeah. Thousands. I mean, I know that one of the news crews that I was flipping around on earlier, the guy from Real America's Voice, said that he was told he can leave, but his equipment stays.
There you go. Let's let this play, folks.
President Trump had taken to the stage and was speaking. This is what happened.
Right on top of the asset.
There's another shot there. Sounded like another one there. The Secret Service agent saying, "You ready?"
If you hear the audio there, they're asking if they can move. They want to get out of there, but they want to do it the right way. They also want to go to the armored limo, where the Suburban. It's a safe point.
Yeah, it's going to show it here, Charlie. I'm going to let it play all the way through, but thank you for pointing that out. The voices that you're hearing is the microphone up at the podium, because the press, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC.
Yeah, they have a pool feed. They have a pool feed there.
Yeah.
Okay, so in a pool feed, what that results in is that there is one set of microphones up there for audio, and then you are going to have to sync your video to it.
Right.
In the back. So there could be 30 cameras in the back, but they're not going to have 30 microphones up on the podium.
And so I heard quite a bit of volleys of secondary and
But that could be the counter snipers firing. Once they realize shots are coming from a certain area, they're going to zero in on those guys and suppress.
Yeah.
So that could be the return fire coming back.
I'm going to play this right back from the beginning because I not only in the beginning here where you see President Trump grab at his right ear, after this volley, you hear several short little bursts and one or two ones that were just one pop. So I'm going to let this play without stopping it because it shows them bringing him to the vehicle that they take him off in.
President Trump taken to the stage and was speaking. This is what happened.
Another one. This is where they're going to exit.
The guys in green are the county SWAT.
Let me get my shoes.
Let me get my shoes. So I heard more right there.
Well, you know, I mean, that's when he's saying that, you know, let me get my shoes and everything else. I mean, that's kind of a sign of shock. But, you know, look at him. I mean, God bless him. He's putting his hand up. Now he's pissed.
This agent's telling everybody to get down.
They don't want him standing up straight.
Is a look again at what happened just moments ago in Pennsylvania. You can see President Trump has.
They actually pushed him down. That was probably a big no-no right there. Him standing up. And
they're not.
They don't want him exposed. Is what it is. They what they want him to do is remain underneath their so-called umbrella, right? Like you're the human umbrella.
They're holding the shoulders. Holding the shoulders,
and he wants it. I get what he's trying to do. I understand that he's trying to show that he's strong, and like, you know, you didn't get me, screw you. But like, what they want to do is like, you know, hey, stay underneath. Just don't do it.
This guy's giving the finger to whoever shot at him, I guess. Looks like. A lot of super chats. A lot of people are asking questions, so I want to go to those. Melly, thank you for becoming a member, and thank you for becoming a new moderator for us. I'm going to be adding a couple of extra new moderators as well. Helen, thank you for becoming a member as well. Thank you for the super chat. She says, I don't like Biden, but I've never wished harm onto him. What has happened is scary. Thank you all for going live. Love hearing all of your opinions and expertise. Thank you. Emily, first channel member ever, a member for over 54 months. She says, let's stop seeing Dems and Libs and Republicans as conservatives. Most of us are in between. Thank you for your expressing your thoughts. And that's what we allow everyone to do here, is express their thoughts as long as it's done respectfully. Thank you, Emily. Janelle Woodward, member for over 19 months. This is exactly the type of event that my agency, State Emergency Management, is concerned with surrounding the upcoming elections. This is always a concern in any presidential race. We had it in this same type of concern in 2020. We had it back as long as presidential races are been on record. Joey Brooklyn says, and he's a moderator, our head moderator, great friend, says, I believe people were in shock. He's referring to why people just stood around.
Agree, Joey.
I'm not seeing it like shock, Joey, but I get what you're saying. It's just I think everybody was just standing steady. And someone said it in the chat. There's a lot of former Marines and former vets and former law enforcement and former, folks who served and probably weren't scared. And look,
I think also there's some people there that did not know what was going on.
Right.
Just didn't have a clue.
Yeah. Yeah. Schmitty always throws her pocketbook at us every live stream. Thank you for being a member for a very long time. Schmitty says 72 hours, a lot of work to be done. I truly appreciate all who put their lives on the line for us. Thank you for covering this. The people in the background stood up and looked right at them. Clear shot, looked right. Stood up and looked right. Yeah, they looked to the right. Yeah, as they were facing us, they looked to the right. Clearer earshot, perhaps. Yeah, Schmitty, I don't doubt it. This is dangerous. What he did there, again, was dangerous. And I was surprised that they didn't manhandle him and put him down when he was putting his fist up and trying to show, strength here for safety reasons, for no other reason than that, for safety reasons. Hey, this is not a time to showboat and show people that you are strong. You just had someone try to kill you. And these Secret Service agents, they did the right thing. They did the best that they can under the circumstances. And there's already people, Charlie, that not just in the chat, but I've looked at some live streams and some live events that were going on. There's already people scrutinizing the Secret Service, and you can't get it right every time. This is a fluid, look at this event. He does tons of these. He goes all over the country, and nothing has happened as of yet. But this is tough. This is not an easy.
You can't knock the guys. Okay. Look, you can't, you prepare as best you can, right? Nothing is 100%. Yeah. And especially when you have an outdoor event, right? You've got an outdoor event. So how far out are you going to secure things?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question, right? And you got to realize he is a former president. Yes, he is the leading candidate on the Republican side, but he is a former president. Right. And now he gets more than most former presidents because of that. But the point being, the resources that they give him obviously are very different than what they're giving to President Biden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's just a fact. It's just a fact.
Because he's no longer the president. We have one president at a time.
And Charlie, does the same thing hold for the Obamas and the Clintons? And because I know that
it holds for all of them. Usually, the further they are out from office, unless there's specific
threats,
intelligence and threats, there's not going to be the same level.
Right.
What he's got right now is the best that a former gets, better than any of the others. Will it be increased because of this event? Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. What I'm not understanding here is, where did we come to this point?
Yeah.
How did we get?
How did we get
everything? I mean, look,
it's the vilification. It's the vilification of thought. Basically, what it comes down to. If you don't believe what I believe,
look, I'm a First Amendment guy. I'm a Second Amendment guy. I really love my Constitution. I don't want it going away. Mm-hmm. But there are certain people who push it to the limit and abuse it. And those are the people that you should be concerned with.
Yeah. Whenever the pendulum swings to one end or the other, we're out of whack. Okay. We need to be in the middle.
I'm not calling for any retribution at all.
No. I'm just saying.
I don't want that.
Whenever you go to an extreme, to a polar opposite end of, we're out of whack. We need to be in the center. Okay. And what's happening now is a lot of this, the media has taken sides in our political discourse. Instead of just reporting the news, this is what happened today, and let you, the people, us, the people, decide what it means to us.
Right.
they have now taken political sides in the discourse, and it's
Right.
making things worse.
Yeah. Journalism in America today is dead. Journalism used to be
it fans the
report,
flames.
you report the truth and let the chips fall where they may. That was journalism. That was actually being a so-called reporter, right? Now it's, how do I weave what is being said into my narrative to prove my point or support my cause?
It's a shame.
Right? Look, I would rather be told you're a no good bag of shit than someone weaving a story where I come out of it like Cinderella.
Right.
But that's me.
Yeah, and I want to say too, prayers and thoughts go out to the innocent two bystanders who were in this rally supporting former President Donald Trump at his rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, that are now deceased because of one person's actions, and as we know it as of right now, preliminarily. So the shooter's dead, and two innocent people who came on a Saturday to support their presidential nominee on the Republican side. And that's not supposed to happen. And again, I talk about this all the time, ladies and gentlemen. I am constantly worrying about when my sons or my friends tell me they're going to a concert. In the back of my mind, I'm always thinking about violence. And like you two gentlemen were just saying here, who has the biggest microphone? Who has the biggest speaker? It's the news. And the news, we hear it day in and day out, and they want to pump their audience to a point where they can get their ratings and views, and they spin things. And that's where it develops somebody who might be just a little bit on the fence. And again, people are not going to like this, but we're going to hear about mental health. I can guarantee it. I'm putting my pension on the line right here that we are going to hear about this shooter that was taken out, that there's going to be some type of mental health component. And all it takes is just a little bit of push, a little bit of a nudge to get things going. Ed, am I far off on this thing?
No, I think you're going to hear that. They're going to dig into the background. It's going to be a spin on this. Trust me, there's going to be a spin on the shooter and ideology and the various amendments and causes and some. It's never can be an honest discussion about what's going on. Remember the old adage, right? A lie can make itself around the world before the truth gets its socks on in the morning. Okay, we need to get back to speaking truth. We need to get back to civility. I'm sorry if this may make people upset. I feel we need to get back to religion. We need God more in our life now than we ever needed it. Okay, and so because we are so far away from our founding, and not that our founding was so great, but I mean the idea of what America should be. We're always improving. We are not perfect by any means, okay, but we're always improving, okay. We're the what is it? How old are we now? 240 years now. What are we now?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, and we're still improving.
Yeah, amen to that, Charlie. And I know you guys both have strong feelings on this, and I echo those feelings. I'm just trying to look for a statement on Twitter because someone said President Trump put a statement out on Twitter. So I'm just searching Twitter right now. Let's see. Let's go to the chat. Hashtag Ed, hashtag Charlie, hashtag DutyRon. Lieutenant Pete Pranzo is in the chat. He just had a birthday a couple days ago. Happy birthday to you, Lieutenant Pete. Many more happy and healthy ones. If you guys have any questions, put them in the chat. Hashtag any one of us. And let me see if I can pull up Twitter right now. Give me a second, guys. Let's see. Charlie, you hearing anything locally there? Are you monitoring any of the local feeds or anything like that?
No, look, this has got to just take a chill pill, right? We all got to sit back and just wait. The most important thing to do is have patience. The truth will come out eventually. If we start trying to jump on this early, we're going to be wrong.
Exactly.
What I would do is just take all your sources and just listen and evaluate it for yourself. But most of all, make sure that you don't make any permanent conclusions yet. It's going to take time. There's going to be rumors about things and secondary thoughts. The talking heads and the pundits on TV are going to spin it to what they want you to think, or to be I'm the first with this breaking news. That usually is not going to work so well. I would just wait. I know we all want answers. We want answers now. What I would do is just wait. Today is Saturday. Hopefully by Tuesday, this is all ironed out.
Yes, there will be.
Yeah, we'll see. Like you said, Charlie, cooler heads have to prevail, and we got to get down to what exactly happened here. And there's a lot of moving parts. This is not going to happen quickly. It's not going to happen overnight, and they're going to hear a lot of misinformation that's going to go out there on Twitter, Fakebook. I like to call Facebook Fakebook sometimes. I'm sure that TikTok is going to be on fire. But let's go into some live coverage from ABC News. I want to just hear what they have to say about this.
Like to be able to speak with him at some point when he's able. But again, President Biden reiterating what we've heard time and time again, the calls for calm, for people to condemn the violence, although we don't know much about what happened other than a few reports about a shooter who's been killed and a possible bystander and the shots fired. So again, all of this sort of...
We are told, Whit, that the Biden campaign has paused all outbound communications, and they're working to pull down all of their political ads, effectively putting this intensely fought, heavily funded, very negative presidential campaign, at least for the moment, on hold in the wake of this incident. And you heard, President Biden condemn what happened. I thought it was interesting to hear him refer a couple of times to President Trump, somebody he has clashed with as mightily as any two political figures in our history have clashed, calling him Donald and saying he tried to get a hold of Donald and he hopes to speak to him, and saying that we all have to condemn what happens. And that is what is happening. We are seeing statements from political leaders across the political spectrum, not just condemning what is an apparent or being invested.
So here you see some bystanders in the audience pointing to particular locations. This could be somebody who was shot, who was down. But this gives us a little bit better look at really the enormity of this event and what was going on. There's an interview here with a woman. I didn't hear what she had to say, but I want to play it.
Investigated as an apparent political assassination attempt, but calling for calm and saying that political violence of any kind, certainly not like this, has
on. You're
kind of investigation.
About 100 feet away from him, could see his face. He was right there talking, having a good time. And, you heard one shot, two shot. It sounded like, bang, nothing crazy. And then you heard maybe three or four more. And that's when everyone got quiet, started panicking. Trump dropped right to the floor. I guess Secret Service jumped on top of him and shielded him. But, as soon as everyone in the crowd figured out what was going on, we all ducked, and my buddies just jumped on top of me, piled on top of me. And we had no idea what was going on. You're in total shock. You're shook, and, you can't feel your legs, but we were trying to decide if we wanted to get up and run, and we had really no idea what to do. And next thing you know, you see bullets, or you hear bullets flying. And I believe a bullet hit the hydraulic lift that was holding up the speakers, and that thing almost collapsed. There was hydraulic fluid and water spitting everywhere all over the crowd. And then before you know it, everyone just gets up and starts running. But
and
Trump
Stephen,
did stand.
Oh, forgive me. I'm sorry. There's a little bit of a delay, but on that note about everybody getting up and running, we're actually showing video that you shot on your cell phone. And this is the moment with people running out of the venue. Describe what that was like, and when were you actually able to get out?
So again, Ed and Charlie, this is what Charlie talked about. The Secret Service is going to want to grab all the video. This is Stephen Lesko on the phone with ABC News. This is video that he shot, and you can bet your bottom dollar that these folks are going to want to see it. So, Ed, I know you got to run. I'm going to put you back on for final thoughts. Ed Wallace has got to go. He's got his parents down there and in his Jersey home. Ed, here's a super chat from Shelby, and look at what that super chat says.
Yes, 100%, 100%. Amen. Folks, just think about where we are today. And if we don't make some changes, where we're going to be. And I don't want to be in that place, and I don't want to live in that place, and I don't want my children to have to live in that place, or my future grandchildren. Okay, we need to get back to our roots. We need to get back to civility. Okay, to the middle, not these polar extremes. You know, a zealot of any kind is no good.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to be. Ask yourself, am I being reasonable? Are my thoughts reasonable? Are my actions reasonable? This is not reasonable. Okay? This is madness. Okay? This got to stop.
Amen.
With that, be safe, be prepared, watch your six. Got to run. Charlie, thank you.
Take care, Ed.
Charlie, you got another 10 minutes to hang out?
Yeah. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
So we have Charlie, who is a 30-plus year friend of mine, 28 years in the United States Secret Service. He's a retired Secret Service agent. Charlie, let's look at the rest of this, because this is, again, what you spoke about earlier in this live stream about the U.S. Secret Service and the federal FBI, the feds, are going to want to take all audio, video, photographs from every and anybody that they can get it from. And this is going to give a good indication from this private citizen of what his perspective was. And it's going to go in towards the investigation. And everyone's saying thank you and good night to Ed. Ed is just a gem. And he speaks from the heart, and he speaks the truth. So it's always great to have Ed Wallace here. Let's take a listen to the rest of this.
It was pretty stressful. You know, I'm looking around trying to make sure all my buddies who came with me were with me. And, you know, it took probably a good 10 minutes to get out of there, to get out of the whole area. And, you know, before you know it, there's ATVs and UTVs flying and ambulances and all that kind of stuff. And we're trying to figure out how to get out of there and get home. But you know, we made it. And when we walked out to the road, they had, you know, police blocking everything off. And we actually found out where the building was that the shooter was shooting from. They had it all taped off. I guess it was like an agricultural warehouse, something like that. So, you know, it was pretty scary. It's
so he's talking about a warehouse, Charlie, from where the shooter is. At least that's what this eyewitness is alluding to here. Again, we know witnesses see things, they hear things. So let's just take a little bit more of a listen to this, and then we'll come back to the live chat.
Like you're in the movies.
Stephen, forgive me again. I'm sorry. There's a little bit of a delay with the connection, but did you say that you were able to see the building that the shooter was allegedly perched on top of here? You said it was taped off by law enforcement. What did it look like?
It was like a kind of like an airplane hangar, maybe, you know, like a warehouse for agricultural equipment, I guess. ARC, AGC, something like that on the side. But once we were out, maybe 30, 40 minutes after, you know, they were taping it off, investigating it. They had the dogs going and all that stuff. But you know, there was traffic jams everywhere. It was kind of hard to.
How far away was that area from where the former president was standing?
Maybe 300, 400 yards, maybe less, honestly.
Charlie, you saw right underneath former President Donald Trump's, right underneath his arm was a female U.S. Secret Service agent. men and women on these details. They lay their lives on the line. And I want to go back to it because I want everyone to see this. There she is with the glasses and hair pulled back. Men and women day in and day out risking their life and you guys lay your lives. You're supposed to put yourself in harm's way rather than the protectee getting the shot. So, kudos to the men and women who are out there. And here's a statement from Donald Trump. I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of law enforcement for their rapid response on the shooting that just took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. Most importantly, I want to extend my condolences to the families of the persons at the rally who was killed, and also to the family of another person that was badly injured. It is incredible that such an action can take place in our country. Nothing is known at this time about the shooter, who is now dead. I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong and that I heard the whizzing sound, shots, and I immediately felt the bullet ripping through my skin. Much bleeding took place, so I realized then what had happened. God bless America. That's the official statement from former President Donald Trump on his attempted assassination. And I'm going to put this up on the screen. You see the blood coming from the upper part of his right ear. And I'm going to let the rest of this play, Charlie, because it's only a minute or a minute and a half. So I'm going to let the rest of this play, and I'm going to go to you for some thoughts.
ARC, AGC, something like that on the side. But once we were out, maybe 30, 40 minutes after, they were taping it off, investigating it. They had the dogs going and all that stuff. But there was traffic jams everywhere. It was kind of hard to...
How far away was that area from where the former president was standing?
Maybe 300, 400 yards, maybe less, honestly.
And Stephen, when you hear that people who were there in the crowd with you, other bystanders, at least one, maybe more, were killed, how does that make you feel?
Honestly, still kind of numb to it. It's hard to process all this. Your heart rate is through the roof, but that's just for their family, and they were supporting the country that they love. And in the meantime, it's definitely sad, and it's heartbreaking, honestly.
And Stephen, we've been hearing from people on both sides of the aisle, Republicans, Democrats, independent candidate, RFK Jr., and all with the same sentiment, condemning political violence, saying there's no place in this country for something like this. And I just wonder, from your perspective too, you're out there, you're exercising your right to support a candidate. What message do you have for people out there? Because the country is at this political boiling point. There's so much division and anger and hatred right now from one side and the other. What would you like to tell people?
At the end of the day, whether you're on the left, the right, the center, or you don't believe in politics at all, we all still put our pants on in the morning. We all breathe the air and go to work, and a lot of these issues, in 10 years, no one even thinks about them or cares about them. So we're all people at the end of the day. And, it's not worth taking someone's life over political beliefs or whatever. It's just senseless.
Well said. And we all bleed the same color. That was an eyewitness. He took some video. Here's another interview quickly of an eyewitness that was on the ground. And let's hear this. I didn't listen to this yet, but I'd like to hear what this woman has to say.
It's definitely sad. And, it's heartbreaking.
To election day.
Work, and a lot of these issues, in 10 years, no one even thinks about them or cares about them. So we're all people at the end of the day. And, it's not worth taking someone's life over political beliefs or whatever. It's just senseless.
Well, Stephen, I think many people would agree with those words. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for sharing that video. And we're so glad and thankful that you and the people you were there with are doing okay. Thanks again.
Of course. And as Kelly Clarkson says, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Well, let's hope that that's what happens in this country from here forward. The country definitely needs a moment of healing as we work closer and closer to Election Day. Stephen, thank you again. Let's go back to Rachel Scott. I believe she's still there in Pennsylvania. She was at this event, and Rachel, you've been speaking with witnesses, and who are you with right now?
Yeah, I'm with a woman named Erin. You were in the very first row in the middle seat, you told me. What did you see? What did you witness?
I was in the first row and I was in the middle. I was directly in front of President Trump. So I saw him come on the stage, and it was maybe about 3 or 4 minutes. Everybody, all the photographers saw him come in. They all cleared away. He started speaking, and then we heard pound, pound, pop, pop, pop. In everybody's mind, it was like 4th of July. Somebody must have been still doing firecrackers. Then I saw the 4 Secret Service jump up and immediately push him to the ground. Then the news people that were around him, they all fell to the ground. There was 4 of them down there, and then we all stood up. None of us moved. We wanted to protect President Trump. Sorry, helicopter's landing. Then I saw the gentlemen who wear the guns in the black. They came on and they said, okay, clear right, clear left. On 3, we're going to lift them. So they lifted President Trump up, and he said, I got to get my shoes. His shoes must have fallen off when they pushed him down. I saw the red blood on his right cheek. Then when he turned, I saw the ear from the top to the bottom with red.
Erin, I'm just going to have the camera turn really quickly because we are seeing a helicopter landing. For everyone that is watching at home, this is obviously still an active crime scene where we are all standing right now. We are just yards away from where this rally was taking place. We're seeing a helicopter touchdown. We've obviously seen more and more police presence.
All right, so a lot more here, Charlie. I want to get ready to wrap it up. This has been a difficult day, to say the least. Troubling times in America and troubling times for our presidential candidates. Again, I see a lot of people in the chat, arguing back and forth, and this is exactly what we are talking about here. I actually avoid political conversations because it can never end good. Everybody has to wind up getting into an argument. And the days of in the 60s and 70s, when I was growing up, I was born in the 60s, in the 70s and 80s, you can have a conversation about politics. It's just not that way anymore, and it's sad. But what we're at and what we're looking at here is equally as troubling as the current climate that we're looking at, Charlie. Is just, I don't see it. I don't see this ending well. And I hope and pray for our political candidates, and I hope and pray for our country that things can get better. I know you got a lot of things going on, Charlie, but I want to go to you for fun.
It's fine. Look, when we've reached the point where you try to assassinate someone because of their political beliefs or who they support politically, we are screwed.
Yeah.
Deeply. This is unhinged behavior. I never would have thought that this would have happened. I thought after the Kennedy assassination that was orchestrated, as we now know, by our own government, that this would have come to an end. That this would have been like, wow, this is really messed up. This is really screwed up. Can we please stop? And apparently the answer is no. And that's sad. And the sadness of it is, thankfully, President Trump's alive, but we all suffer in some way because of it.
Yeah.
The political system that we have here in the country is wrecked. It's wrecked.
Nobody wins. Nobody wins. And I just want to say thank you to all of the channel members and the subscribers and the moderators for keeping everything somewhat civil. And I understand that this is a topic that people are going to not agree to disagree. And here in this community, you can agree to disagree as long as you do it respectfully. I'll be reviewing the chat, and I want to thank everybody for joining. Again, this breaking news, former President Donald Trump, attempted assassination tonight in Butler, Pennsylvania. So many people are just so troubled by this. And I received the overwhelming amount of messages from people that asked me and asked Ed Wallace to go live. So I took it to my my people, and I asked them, you guys want us to go live? And everybody said yes. So here we are. And I want to thank retired Special Agent Secret Service Charlie for coming on in on a moment's notice. I haven't talked to you probably in a few months, Charlie. Maybe
it's okay.
more.
You know what? You could call me tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. I'd help you.
Yeah. I asked Charlie, hey, could you come on? We need your expertise. We need someone from the Secret Service that has this experience in handling this type of situation. You train, the men and women of the United States Secret Service train every day for this. And I'm just honored to have you as a friend. I'm honored to have you as a brother. And, we were out in Brownsville, Brooklyn, a long time ago, maybe some 20 years ago, and you were on a case out there. I don't know what the case was. I don't even remember. It doesn't even matter. But I sat in the back of your Secret Service vehicle with the MP5 little mini machine gun in the back. And I was like, hey, Charlie, this is cool. I'm an NYPD cop and you're a Secret Service agent. We're just chilling out.
Yeah, but we're all the same. We carry one badge.
Exactly. Brothers to the end. So Emily says, thank you, Charlie. A lot of compliments coming in from the chat. We're live streaming on YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. So we're live streaming on all of those platforms. Shelby, thank you for the super chat and the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America. She typed it all out there in the chat. We appreciate that. So Charlie, I hope we could do a follow-up. Diane from across the street, my good friend, is saying hello to you in the chat. So many people saying thank you to you for your service and for coming on in this very tough topic to tackle and to talk about. But we would be, I think it would be a disservice to the Crime Time with DutyRon community to not go live and talk about this. So thank you to everybody for being here. I know maybe some people might not be happy that we're discussing or covering this, but this is a major American event.
Unfortunately, it's a part of history now.
Part of history. We need to talk about it. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed this coverage. Charlie, on behalf of all the members here of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, we want to thank you for your service. Thank you for being here and spending an hour and 30 minutes. All right. That's it from New York. God bless the world. God bless the United States of America. And God bless each and every one of us here in the chat, but especially the victims that lost their lives today in Butler, Pennsylvania. We send strength, prayers, and positive vibes to them. We send strength, prayers, and positive vibes to former President Donald Trump and all good American citizens. Good night. Charlie, hang out just for a second. Don't go anywhere. I want to talk. Peace, guys. Here's a message from the cop team. Good night.